Uh, Alright, welcome some and welcome all to the ARC Tier 2 Round 7
Hello,
in
everyone.
Silverstone. We have
Welcome
our
to Tier 2.
Okay.
I am
Yeah,
one
you
of your
can...
hosts,
Okay,
Kia.
this is unfortunate. I was muted, so you just repeated everything I said. Any hoozles, we find ourselves here... Sorry to black screen it for one final time. We find ourselves here in Round 7 in Silverstone with our championship leader, Rosefest, leading the championship by, I think, just above 40 points. So he's a little bit out of reach, you'd have to say.
Yeah, I think that generally happens in all of our tiers at the moment. We have dominant drivers that it seems are taking on a Mercedes-esque position.
Could you
Rather
say one
unfortunate.
more thing just so I could get the audio squared away?
I don't understand this American expression of squared away, as we are finally into the 16-minute range of the qualifying, yet no car has left the garage. No car at all. Ah, we got our first jump.
Ah, okay.
It's a Renault. Renault of Astro? Yes.
All right, Astro is going to be the first one to leave the pits. So yeah, as you said, there's usually a dominant driver in league racing, especially here in ARC where the skill cap is 0 to 60, to put it
Infinite.
delicately. Yeah. Um, and so, yeah, Rosefest looking a little bit out of reach for now, especially holding off someone who is competing for podium positions in Tier 1, or was. Granted, he didn't practice for Silverstone, but Tact was... Right, it's not in Silverstone, it's in Hungary. That is just now occurring to me.
Yep.
Um...
Are we gonna restart the
Uh...
stream again? The answer is no. Uh, we
Absolutely
can
not.
we can correct it in the VOD when it gets uploaded to YouTube, which reminds me I need to update the website. We're on top of things here, as Astro is coming through sector
God, that
2
took me an
now.
embarrassing amount of time to figure out that it was in... Jeez, wow, that's upsetting. Well, any hoozles, let's ride on board here with Astro through a lap of the Hungaroring, a very technical, tricky circuit, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some rain here. It has a climate of its own, so it's really
Uh,
important to get the
well,
double
I,
apex
I
line
mean,
through.
I can tell you we're not going to see rain. It's just overcast, cloudy, no rain projected for this session. You can check
Astro
that.
coming up to some cars right now. Looks like they do a good job of getting out of the way. Into turn 1 now. Keeps a nice tight line and runs out wide using all the track. I could not tell you how the track extensions are on the Hungaroring in this game, but you want to make sure that you take a nice and tight line through here.
That Haas has got to get out of the way.
He does a decent job of getting out of the way, but that's probably giving him some dirty air or some mind games, if nothing else. You know, your eyes aren't on the apex when you got
Now
another
let's see
car
how
there.
he handles this. Oh, that's a bit too much lifting and a bit too shallow of an apex for my liking on that very tricky, very fast corner there. He steers away from the white curbs on the inside of that previous turn 2 turns ago. That's very good. You spin, you die there. And he's going to be going through in fourth gear for the S section here. No, he shifts up to 5 at the very end there. Up to 6. Is he going to drop down to 6th? Yeah, he does for the final turn, coming out of sector 2 down into sector 3 now. And he doesn't get up to 8th gear. That's something that that a few drivers will be doing as they come into it's the third to last corner here. Now the hairpin. He's keeping I'm not sure about these lines here. He's kind of in the middle of the track, not really using all of the track, and he's actually out of energy before even crossing the line. So that's of course the fastest lap of 1:15.4.
Yeah, well, you'd have to say the reason he ran out of energy is because they pre-mapped these very poorly. Any hoozles, Stevie is now on a lap going through arguably the trickiest corner in the circuit, just because it's so easy to get wrong, and there's so much time to be found in it if you can get it right, especially in the wet, but granted, we're not going to have rain. Coming into this is a really tight chicane, and it's important to use all the track. He does a good job, but he actually doesn't cut it as much as you normally would. Not doing a great job with his shifting to be able to get the maximum rotation out of the cars, cutting a little bit of the corners there, it would look like. Kind of gets his car to slingshot him down. Now onto the straight, doesn't open up DRS for some reason. There's no DRS, that would be why. And yeah, that'll do it. Runs a little bit deep in here. That's the way to do it. Just kind of use the middle of the track here and run out wide. That's where you're going to find the best grip. And then once again here, kind of run out wide a little bit and use the middle for the double apex and run out wide on the exit. He does a great job. Those are some pretty good lines through there, but only good enough for a 1:15.7.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think he's going to be topping the timing sheet because of his sector times, but you did touch on something interesting. There is no DRS back there. All of the DRS zones are in the first sector. They are one after another stacked. How do you think that's going to affect overtaking today, especially given the dynamics as we understand them in the field? And especially because of the tire choices that we are seeing, where most of the field is going to be on softs, which we know is for a high degradation track like Hungary is not going to be the optimum choice. It's really a poor choice, really. Everyone on the mediums. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of these guys had the we'll call it foreknowledge to prepare and really understand. Even you want to try to qualify in the mediums, and even if you can't get into top 10 on the mediums,
you start
that's
on the
fine.
hards.
Yeah, you just qualify outside of the top 10, and you're still going to do better than someone who put it on pole with softs.
Absolutely. Now, the softs are, arguably, this is one of the most punishing tracks for the people who make the mistake to go onto those soft tires, especially with overheating, especially in 2020 where overheating is that much more of an issue. So, yeah, absolutely a mistake. I think this is more punishing than Bahrain or Spain even.
Sorry, just following along with Rosefest, he invalidates, I believe that's turn 6 and 7, coming out of the sector 2.
No, that would be turn 8.
Okay. He invalidates, no, he invalidated 2 corners, corner before.
Turn 6 is the, is the one with the water park and the curb of death.
No, that's turn 5. I'm looking at a track map right now.
Oh boy. This is upsetting.
Yeah. So I think he's going to go again here. He saved up his energy. He's going slow across. He's shifted down. And I think he's going to get it, yeah.
You know, one thing I don't really understand, and this might be, as you said, lacking the foreknowledge or the inexperiences. I don't understand going out on your mediums right now. You should be doing soft laps that you either invalidate intentionally or go into the pits before you finish, because you want to get the most out of your medium tires in reality. I mean, if you're not planning on starting in the top 10, that's one thing, but you know, for Rosefest, who very well could be at the top, he's missing 10 minutes of track evolution to set his fastest lap, because if he's either going to go out and improve it on the softs, in which case fine, but that's a terrible idea. So I don't understand. Yeah, really, the rear stepping away from him there, demanding a little bit too much with that extra gear shift. I would assume sometimes it's better to just single shift it down to 7th and throw it. Especially that's what you're going to want to do when you have high fuel in the car, is just one downshift and braking a little bit more. Your car really can't handle any more rotation.
You can see it right there in turn 8, where he didn't even go up into 5th gear as we saw a couple of other people do. He decided to keep him 4th for the first section of that of those S's. He's coming now into sector 3, into the hairpin. This will be turn, don't quiz me, 15? 14. Unfortunate. He comes now. He's about to cross the line. He doesn't have the best line going through there. He's also out of energy. Of course, these guys aren't managing well, and he only puts himself 4th. He's not even the fastest medium runner, as far as set his time on soft. So he does, for mediums, that's a pretty good lap compared to the rest of the field. Maybe not exactly where he would want. I imagine he's probably going to want to set another lap on these if he can.
Right, but again, that just brings it to the point of, why are you setting this with 9 minutes left in the qualifying session? That I really don't get that. You should be doing it around 4 minutes, fuel for 3 laps, 1 cooldown. So you do a lap. If you invalidate, then you just start the next one. But if you get it done, cooldown lap, and then go for your final one.
Arguably, somebody who should know better has just started his hot lap. Tactics-O. Locks coming into turn 3. His medium tires. He's got 8 minutes of track evolution. And actually, you know what? We're seeing an incorrect timer. Tack probably has 10 minutes on his timer. Oh, and he goes wide and invalidates. So he's going to need to cool off and take another lap, get just a bit of track evolution, but we know it's really exponential at the end, so it's not, in the end, going to make that much difference for him, unless he waited till the end. But he's not going to. I can't see Tack setting a time on softs. I think he understands how poor that would be. My only guess would be that he took the harder tire allocation in the options. So he has a soft set, a hard set, and a medium set.
No, so in 2020, they Codemasters is dumb, and they took out the hard set. So even on the hardest allocation, you only get a medium. You get 3 softs and a medium. It just affects your race tires. It doesn't affect your quali tires anymore.
Right.
I mean, the
Oh,
genius
boy.
of them is not lost on me. So we'll ride on board with Tactics O here. Is he's going to start his lap into 7th gear, crosses the line, want to let 7th gear run as much as you can. Maybe ran it a bit too much, but obviously we're talking about fine margins here. Niall gets out of the way, but that seems to have compromised him a little bit mentally as he locks up into that first corner. Oh, gets on the curb there, and that curb is absolutely sneaky. You're worried about opening up your DRS, you're worried about upshifting, and sometimes you just don't catch the fact that your rear left is on that curb, and it sends you.
And I think it's really... Oh, there's a weaving car in front attack here. That is MLG, gets out of the way pretty good, but I think that's actually disrupted Tack's mentality because he hasn't...
Oh, and that's the curb of death.
White curb of death, and that is the end of that lap. Resets into track.
Oh, Jesus.
MLG was not on a hot lap. There was no collision, so I don't think that is actually reportable. I think unsafe re-entry is only a race kind of thing, but that was questionable conduct from our member Tactics O of the admin t-shirt variety.
Go to the grave for it, absolutely.
But what I was saying earlier, I think it really messed his mentality coming through turn 1 because he took a really wide line, and then you could see coming into turn 3, he did not extend as far as he could out to really get a really sharp line coming through that turn. So I think you know, his lines were really messed up. His mentality was messed up. He's going again though. For a second time. He has 2.7 laps of fuel left, so he has a couple more chances at this.
Yeah, so we'll ride on board with him as he gives it one more try. And absolutely, the mental component of this of a qualifying lap is super crucial. I mean, you do lose your confidence when you invalidate. It's like I wouldn't be surprised if and he does it again. Yeah, and
that is. I actually saw him spin twice in that corner, different curve, but I saw him spun twice on the exit of turn 1 in practice.
Well,
and again, coming through turn 3 there, he doesn't cut the apex as much as he can, but he also doesn't set himself up on the entry as much as he could. He doesn't go as wide as he could.
He does do a good job through turn 5 though. But no, the mental aspect of a qualifying lap, I'd be curious what the percentages would be, but I would argue you'd be like 50% more likely to invalidate your third flying lap if you've invalidated your first 2. Like when you find those issues, sometimes it's harder to correct them without losing too much time, and qualifying when you can't sacrifice a few tenths like you could in the race to just take it easy through a turn. You really do mess it up, and it's demoralizing when you mess up your first turn, and it usually leads to a slower lap rather than a faster last few sectors. But he looks like he's kept it clean, as you mentioned, though, not taking as much of the track as he could, not getting a very great apex through there. Puts the power down, opens up his DRS, and goes 5th fastest, just about 2/10 short of Rose, but crucially has about, what, 3 or 4 laps on those? 5 laps?
Yeah, the wear is pretty low for him because it is 100% wear for qualifying. Even if it's a 50% race, you only get 100% wear conditions for your tires. He's on 4% for the fronts and 5% on the rears, so it's not too bad. And he has exactly 1 lap of fuel left, so I don't think he's going to be able to make another hot lap run, but he may come in, refuel the car, and try to get it higher, or he may just leave it be, because he, in the end, does have about 5 minutes of the session left right now, even though it says 4:20. But I do want to touch on something really important. As you can see right now, he's coming through turn 8 and turn 9. He's in 5th gear, and he shifts up into 6th for 9 and 10, not going into 7th until he's on this mini straight, whereas Rosefest is 1 step lower at each point. In turn 8 and 9, he's in gear 4, and then turn 9 and 10, he's in gear 5, which was, I thought, pretty interesting.
Yeah, you know, that is in this game, that is so setup dependent, whereas in 2019 there was a pretty definitive way to take most turns. I would argue that's not the case in 2020 anymore, because setups are so different, and it's really about a feel and how much you can control the power band or the turbo lag, whatever you want to call it, because depending on your setup, it really depends on which revs it kicks in, and it can be a pretty interesting choice for gears. But I know that different gears work for different people. But these girls only able to go 13th fastest with a 1/16.7 on the soft tire. Niall and Zeke in 15th and 16th, setting 117s on their medium tires. If I were them, I would throw on the soft tires
And
and
just make
just
sure
note,
you're out
yeah,
of
make
the
sure
top
you're
10.
under a second. Yeah, but try to get a few positions. As
That
Astro,
requires a decent amount of maneuvering. Stewie now is on his hot lap. He almost touches the white curb of death in turn 2, coming into turn 4 now. Oh, he has to slow up a lot to not invalidate there. Gets very close to the curb in turn 5, but he gets spat out fairly well, sets him up for turn 6 and 7. Coming through 8 now, he's going to be in gear 4. He shifts down and back up and down again. So I don't think he really knows what gear he wants to be in for this section of the track. So that probably indicates a decent lack of practice. As we have a new pole time. Oh, and the pole sitter just bins it. Absolutely bins it. He might be... No, he is not retired, but he is completely clapped the wall after setting his pole time. And he's going to need to take care on the way in, completely missing his front right wing.
and he just retires on
And
track.
he's actually retired, yeah.
Right into turn 1, so let's see if there's anyone on a hot
I'm not
lap.
entirely sure how to pronounce that name. SWY Moisir? I'm going to go Moisir.
So it does look like his car gets out of the way, but Stewie's not on a hot lap anyways, so... Yeah, interesting. We've got the Action and Madman now on outlaps on the medium tire, so let's ride on board with Action, the previous Tier 3 champion, and see what he can do against his rival, Astro. Not Astro, Rosefest. Other Renault, my bad.
And he lets Sin by. Sin is on a hot lap, so we can probably watch him first. Ooh, catches a bit of oversteer coming through the hairpin there. Turn 14, now turn 15. Keeping it not so tight. Again, runs out of energy. These boys are not managing their energy. They expect the game to do it. Sin only puts himself 10th on the medium tire. He's definitely going to get bumped out of the top 10, and I don't think there's much he can do about it.
So let's ride on board with Action here, who, yeah, the Action just having to take a bit of a tighter line because Sin was sitting on the racing line, or rather just on the outside curbing, which didn't allow Action to take the full racing line. So he's probably feeling a little bit compromised there. Coming now through turn 3, you really want to cut it. He does an excellent job using basically all of the track that the game is going to allow you to. Van retires in the pits, hopefully. Goes through, goes wide. I don't know if that's an invalidation, but now up through turn 5, he's going to go ahead and use all of the track, doing a good job. We'll see if he continues that through here, really cutting through these corners. Yeah, he is on a flyer, if I do say so myself. Not taking a wide line through there, but he makes up for it by using 4th gear, not downshifting. That's the way to do it. Be in the low gear, not downshift, get the best exit you can. He does go up into 7th. The downshift's probably the right call for this turn. Again, very setup dependent, but clearly if he made that corner with it, he does not have an oversteer setup, so that's going to be the way to go. Yeah.
Do not get in the way.
Hopefully he does not get impedimented here. Blaze Alex going off the track to get out of the way. He's Action taking great lines through here as the checkered flag is out for us, but not for the drivers. Stewie, Action is going to open up DRS, come across the line now. Did manage his energy and is only good enough for 6. Wait, did
P11?
I think but he didn't improve.
No, he did not.
That looked like a much better lap than a 116.
Not sure.
Wow.
Maybe he might have dropped it under acceleration or something. His turns look fairly well. Maybe a bit untidy in the last sector.
Yeah, maybe he just wasn't getting on the power fast enough.
Absolutely.
Oh, and Fig almost loses it. Up turn 5, he gets on the curb there after almost losing it through turn 4. There's a yellow flag out. That's going to be someone sitting in the gravel trap. That's going to be Niall. Fig ignoring it, going through at full speed, which is, I mean, that's what you should do. He's in the gravel trap. It's not like he poses any risk to your lap. Runs out wide. I bet he invalidated. Yep.
Unfortunate for him. He, regardless of the spin, it looked like he might have been on a flyer. But definitely, well, I would say definitely, he might have improved his time. His sector 1 time was a 27.1, and pole time is a 26.6, so probably not. Now, Tactics O is setting his time on softs, and we actually have a little Constantina at the coming across the line here. Blaze Alex finishes his lap. The other Racing Point will not get to finish. It's going to be the Action next across the line. No, he's coming into the pits. Down is going to be the Renault of Rosefeet, also on the soft tires. I'm not sure what he's doing here on the softs. Is he slowing down to not take time? No, he isn't. He's gonna set. Yes, he is. Oh, but still, he goes faster. Out.
Oh my
my
god, that was one of the
God.
dumbest things I've ever seen. He would have had pole, and Tech does take
Oh
pole.
dear. Yeah, and that's tack pull on softs. And wow, Rose has kind of screwed himself out of a decent position. That would have
That,
been P5 on mediums.
let me interrupt
Whew.
you, please, because that is a Kublai move if I've ever seen one. That is
Now,
quintessential Kubi.
Kublai would not have even slowed down if that was him. Even if Kublai would reset a pole position. Even if he was P1, he would set a faster time. And I think that's it for our drivers waiting on some pit entries. But that is that. I'm gonna have to remember to ask Rosefeet about that little qualifying blunder when it comes to post race interviews if he doesn't get taken out early, because that is definitely something I want to inquire about. Whew. Interesting quali.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, literally no one in the top 10 is on mediums, so they are all screwed. They are easily going to get overtaken. Yeah, if you're outside of the top 10, this is easily like your race to lose here. I think maybe the top 10 screwing themselves equally is going to produce some interesting racing, but I'm not 100% sure. The only reason I can see anyone doing this, even like Tack and Rosefeet, is if there's gonna be rain in maybe like the second block of weather or something, like 10 minutes out, 15 minutes out from the start of the race. But even then, I don't know if the softs would last that long. So who knows? Weather could play a component, or this could just be a strategic
No, I mean,
miscall.
yeah, it literally could be that, well, I don't know why Sin would go on mediums if it was raining initially. So yeah, it's probably not, as in like the race is starting in the wet. I can't
definitely
imagine.
not starting in the wet. I don't think Sin would miss that trick. But who knows? We will have
So
to
yeah,
see. Our
Tact
pole
XO
time
is our
is pole sitter with a 1:14.2. Who knows if Rosefeet would have gone faster if he hadn't completely braked and still improved by 0.3 on his time. Oh, that's oh, that's gotta hurt. That has got to hurt.
yeah, that's gonna leave a mark.
It certainly will. Niall and Zeke not improving on their medium time, and Sin is the only other person to have set a medium time. I think he was in a really rough spot. Had he taken the softs, he would have definitely breached the top 10 and gone for a worse strategy. So I think he's really, really banking on this tire strat. And let me just go and check the weather for us. Looks like it's gonna be clear.
All right. Yes, the soft's an interesting choice, but tact valuing track position over strategy. I have not raced on this track in 2020. It's very possible a soft hard is doable. I mean, we saw in Silverstone went from a decently hard, medium hard. I mean, not no risk, but not comfortable.
Like to plug. You can find weather forecasts and a bunch of other telemetry at twitch.tv.
All right, and so
I'm doing the telemetry data stream for this broadcast. If you're a race engineer, this is really useful information. It's penalty times. It's actually ERS numbers for everyone. It's tire wear for everyone. It's a lot. So come on over.
All right.
Just have it on a second monitor. There's no audio, so it isn't a replacement for commentary.
All right. Well, it's very possible. Yeah, this says a one stop is possible from soft to hards. So valuing track position might have been the right call for Tact. As I was saying, Silverstone went from a fairly uncomfortable medium hard. I mean, again, no risk, but it wasn't the most comfortable thing in the world. You could do a soft hard to a very easy soft medium. Austria going to a pretty tough soft medium from one of the easiest, if not the easiest, soft medium. So who knows? These tires really are shaken, not stirred.
Right.
Nailed it.
And just a look at the bottom 6 drivers. We can see Sim Black Fox is on the hards, as is Niall. They're P11 and 16 respectively. The Alfa Romeo boys. Everyone else is on mediums except for the top 10.
MLG God almost into the back of. Yeah, that was close. My apologies for the shouting, but So yeah, important to get your tires warm, but not too warm around here. You'd want to think, right, with the overheating. Again, I really should have driven this track a little bit to get some experience before I give any advice, but I do think that of course the tires being warm is going to be crucial for the start, but at the end of the lap, as I remember in 2019, the tires were crazy overheated. So unless they've got a setup designed for minimal tire heating. Oh, that's Mawasser into the wall. That was really excellent driving from him. Top tier from the second position, going straight into the grass and slamming into the wall,
And
but it's not going to affect him.
I'd like to make an observation about how poorly these tires are going to manage. Tact has, on average, worn his tires 1%, 1.5% over the formation lap.
Well, the formation lap in general actually does tend to wear more than a normal lap would
Yeah.
if you're doing it right. However, the game does say you just got to make it to lap 7 and the hards can last, and I'm inclined to trust. The game has been fairly spot on with the stuff.
I'm looking forward to a battle between fresher hards and older hards, and maybe someone chooses to do the soft medium strat. We have mediums against hards. That would be really interesting as Niall comes and forms up
and
the
that's
back of the pack.
the last car is on the
end.
grid. And here we are. We're about to be underway for round 7 in Hungary of the Tier 2 ARC Championship. The lights are on. It's a quick 5, but obviously that means nothing because Codemasters suck. And that's lights out, and away we go. Mawasser not getting a good getaway. Sadist also not getting a good getaway. It looks like Astro behind is getting a good getaway. Mawasser goes to the inside, but Tech's going to be able to cover that. Mawasser sweeping back out to the racing line. The Renault of Rosefest getting his nose in there, and that's going to be Blaze Alex going straight on in turn 1 and taking out 3 cars with him, it looked like. As we go further down the field a little bit here, we've got Fix Next looking for a move on action. Astro looking for D's Grills, goes almost into the back of him. Up at the top here, we've got Rosefest and Sadist trading blows, trying to find that 4th position, or that 3rd position, excuse me, comfortably. Further down the field, oh, that's going to be Niall going 3 wide up into this turn. This is not going to end well. Who backs out of it? Oh, Niall going off the track there, being forced by Fixnex, who did not yield any position as Van slowed down there for 10th position, not wanting to get involved in that. Fixnex going to keep the position after what looked like forcing him off the track, but I could be very mistaken. I only caught the end of it.
Hold on.
In the top
Niall
3 is
started P16. He's P10 now.
Yeah.
That is an amazing start by him.
Yeah, also on those hard tires, so he's doing a good job. The top 5 is going to be Tact, followed by Mawasser, followed by Rosefest, Sadis, MLG God, D's, Astro, Action, Fig, and Nile on the rundown to complete lap 1. Blaze Alex going straight on through turn 1, possibly picking up wing damage, absolutely destroying another car, it looked like. As Tact locks up into the final corner, is Mawasser going to be able to do anything, or is Rose going to be able to get on the power faster? Of course, there's no DRS as they engage overtake. Tact looks just out of reach down the pit straight. Not sure about Mawasser. Rosefest is close to him, but it looks like we've got a pretty decent gap to all the cars. The Renault of Astro may be looking down the inside of D's, but thinking better of it into turn 1, takes a bit of a shallow apex, not able to get much going there, as the gaps seem to have kind of spaced out here a little bit. Further down the field, Stewie 3K going into the pits for a new wing. I believe that is the person that Blaze Alex murdered, but I could be mistaken, as also Madman going into the pits with some pretty severe wing damage if he's getting off those mediums on lap 1 and not trying to take the strategy to the end there. So clearly having some major wing damage, clearly a big incident there. He's not going to be happy with that. The top 5 staying the same after the second lap, which is kind of what you'd expect from Hungary, wouldn't you say, Kia?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's going to be very difficult to get any overtakes done, especially without the main tool you have to make an overtake here, which is the 2 back-to-back DRS straights. I think ideally you want to get it done in the first straight, or at least close up the gap in the first straight, get it done in the second, and then for the rest of the lap, you could essentially just drive off if you can get the rhythm of the S's down, because it is very, very turn heavy. Tack having a bit of a moment, bit of a lock. Moser actually dropping back a fair amount. 7/10 now. Rosefeet is just behind him. And Sadist is way further back, over a second back now. And MLG got us a second back to Sadist. This is going to be incredibly close, I think. My bet is on the Renault passing the Ferrari before the Ferrari passes the Mercedes.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good guess here from what we're seeing. Mawasser doesn't seem like he quite has the pace to stick with Tact, although DRS is just now enabled. Rosefest, though, does look close enough. I mean, granted, if you can stay within a second in Hungary, it usually means you're faster, because it's really hard to follow. Mawasser already picking up a 3-second penalty.
Yeah, and just following along, yeah, I do have the radio messages, so I can see when people get infractions. So he has a 3-second penalty, and down into P13, Blaze Alex has 6 seconds of penalties already. I'd imagine that's from a minor collision and a corner cut.
That would seem likely. D's grills on the back of MLG God, but not too close. So Mawasser already picks up another. Yeah, that looks like that's going to be his race for the lead over, you'd have to say, at a time like this. I know it's only lap 3, but 6 seconds of penalties on a track position heavy track is going to be tough to make up. Rose now fairly close to him, getting a better line through here, but the dirty air is so, yeah, and it really hurts you going out of that last corner. That makes it so hard to overtake down this main straight, but he is gaining on him. Is he going to have enough overtake left to use down this second straight, where really his best chance, you'd have to say, for the move to be made? He takes a shallower line. Mawasser going off the track there a little bit. Rosefest with a better line. Is he going to send it down the inside? Mawasser defends the outside, but then lets him through. Rosefest with a pretty big lockup there, able to find himself back on line, up into second position to be able to chase down after tact. So Mawasser down into third. Sadis keeping fourth. MLG going to be very happy with fifth. And that's D's Grills and Astro going wheel to wheel. D's Grills comes back on the track and hits Astro. That sends Astro into the polystyrene barriers, off the track, spun with some pretty major wing damage. That was not good driving from D's Grills there.
No, and he actually picks up an additional penalty from that. Both the Ferraris struggling, I guess, with that. No, that was definitely something that the stewards should be taking a look at. No VSC or SC, which is not something we actually touched on today, but you can see that D's temperatures are really, really peaking, as you would expect, but he's not able to get them under control by the following corners. So the temperatures are going to be really hard to struggle with, especially as they wear these soft tires. And I think we're going to start seeing the drivers who race without assists really struggle to have traction on the corner exits.
Yeah, and just further down the field here, we've got Figs next, looking for a move on the action, and he is pretty close. He's going to open up the DRS. The dirty air is just so hard through that last corner. Action, of course, having the DRS from D's, but he's still going to be looking for that move into the next corner, possibly. Goes down the inside, maybe just to spook him. Action does lock up, so if that's what he was trying to do, it works. He's going to open up the DRS now, but Action getting a much better exit in the second ladder of that corner, because Fixnax kind of had to lift off there as he was going to go into the back of Action. Action locking up again, though, so he does not seem like he's feeling too good on those brakes right now.
Absolutely not. No, it does not look like a fun time for him. That is actually pretty unfortunate, but I think this is shaping up to be a fairly interesting race, even without the crazy overtakes. And it's looking like we have, 2 laps until the pit window opens? So everyone in the top 6 is going to duck in. If you were tacked, do you stick to your strategy, or do you try to undercut to protect your position, or do you try to go long and try to eke out as much time out of these tires as you possibly can?
Yeah, you know, I would personally be sketched to try to do 28 to 30 laps on those hard tires. I would try to literally bring those softs as close to puncture as you can, just to protect your race in the second phase. Even if it costs you the position, if he feels confident that he's got the pace on him, I think that's the way to go. Otherwise, it's really going to be up to Rosefest to blink. If I'm tacked, I am not pitting early. I would definitely try to take those tires as far as Rosefest will take him. D's Grills all over the back of MLG God. MLG God defending to the inside here. D's Grills going to try around the outside as we break. MLG God outbreaks D's Grills a little bit there, and that's going to run him out wide. D's Grills kind of losing traction. MLG God definitely losing traction and letting those rears slide into him. I don't know who that is.
Again, and he takes the inside of
but now,
turn 3.
yeah, MLG God going to try to hold it around the outside. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Maybe he is. D's Grills leaving him space, but MLG got to get a lift off. He does not want an accident right there, and that's going to have the position to D's Grills, as MLG God not really able to do much. Oh, D's Grills loses it, and now MLG God's going to go try around the outside of turn 5. This seems risky. D's Grills going to hold the inside, and he's going to be able to keep that position. Now going to take the normal racing line into the chicane, actually holding a more defensive line. That's going to compromise him. All the more tantalizing for MLG God, but I don't think he's going to be able to do anything until we get back onto that pit straight. Really losing the rears through turn 2, I think, cost him the defense of that position, and D's Grills subsequently almost spun out as well off of turn 4, but able to save it and able to hold that inside line, as it's going to be so hard to go around the outside of turn 5.
And now this is great news for the Action. He is on the the medium compound tires, which is harder than the soft. D's locks coming into the hairpin in turn 14. That's going to let
MLG God loses it.
MLG loses it.
I was saying he was struggling with the rears, and he really has been. Almost collects his. And he almost spins. He has taken a very unconventional line through there. He's going to open up DRS. No, he's not. I think he just needs a little bit of a breather there.
Oh my. He's that was quite a journey for him on that lap there. very much overheating his tires. And he's dropped, what, 6 positions now? Sorry, 3 positions from where he was. And the action is now on the gearbox of D's Grills. The action is the highest running runner that is not on the soft compound tires. So this puts him in a really good position as D's Grills collects another warning there, and the action is right on D's gearbox. I wonder if he's going to go for a move on the next straight, because D's is bleeding his energy. He's on 24%. He has a lot of chance to recover it in this next sector if he doesn't decide to use it, which he can't really. But the action is on 83%. He has saved his energy just for this moment. And I do think,
Well,
and there's
so
a train forming behind them as
yeah,
well with
quickly,
Fig,
let
Van,
me
and Sin.
interrupt you there, as Tact is going to cross the pit lane. Is he going to go into it? No, he's going to stay out again. Is Rose going to go in? Rose is going to go in. So Rose blinks on lap 7, which was the predicted pit stop strategy. He's going to be getting an undercut. And Kia, I'm just going to say this. I think he absolutely could make up 1.9 seconds in this pit stop if he releases the clutch fast enough. Also, to be worth note, I think Action is looking great for a podium here. If he can stay out in that clean air and be leading the race and go onto those mediums
That's a
later.
double stack for Renault. That's a double stack for Renault.
Boy.
Astro is in as well.
Oh boy. So it's
Is
really gonna no, I don't think so. So it's
that was a
really
double
gonna be on for Rosefest to be able to crank in a lap here. Let's ride on board as he does actually get himself into quite a nice gap here with some clean air. It's not going to last for long, but it should get him past Tact if Tact only stays out for 1 lap. The strategy for Tact might, quite honestly, if his tires can survive it, would be to stay out another lap or 2 even, so that Rose catches up to this traffic and actually gets slowed down by it.
Well, here's the thing. Rosefest, his pit stop, 2.6 seconds. Do you think Tact could beat that? Because I think that's a pretty average time. And I don't know.
Oh, and that's
whether he
MLG
uses
God
pit release
off the
or not.
track again, and that's going to hamper Rosefest as now MLG God rejoins the track right in front of him, and that's really going to hold him up. Yeah, I think Tact's in the better position now.
Yeah, that is absolutely not a track that is part of the track that is easy to overtake, but Rose is going to get it done, maybe, because MLG goes wide again. Yeah, Rose is passed without much drama. Through turn 2, and MLG's lost it again. He spun. Oh, that was a serpentine. He just completely lost it, oscillated, and into the wall. Resets the track, and so does the Red Bull behind him of Sadist is into the wall as well. Exact same thing, but he wasn't able to keep it for as long. So that's MLG into the pits, obviously. Now, Tac is into the pits. Tac is into the pits and out, actually, already. And he comes out in front of Rosefeet. Wow. Oh, and he's actually in front of Blaze Alex as well, so that's good. Tac has Breathing Roomy as a 1-car buffer, and Tac's stop was actually 2.5 seconds. So that's a very good strategy from the Mercedes boys. And yeah, that's well played by Tac by going long. I think that's absolutely was the right call to let Rose struggle with the traffic, and I think MLG really contributed to Tac's strategy there. I think he should buy him a beer.
Yeah, Action now looking to me to be the favorite for that 3rd position, as he's just going to have clean air with none of this traffic. Tact is past Blaze Alex, but he's not past Nile, he's not past Fig, he's not past Sin. Action is. So Action's going to be in some clean air for the next few laps, and then go on to hards and be on fresher hards. I think he's in the best position for that 3rd place. I think Rose and Tact have got the first 2 positions lined up right now, barring some ridiculous laps from Actions, but he's got time to do it as now he takes the lead of the race on the 10th lap.
Rose is about to, he's being massively sandbagged by the Racing Point of Blaze Alex. I think on this next straight, he's going to have enough of it and just send it through the inside.
Blaze Alex does defend to the inside, though.
Yep. And I don't think that's going to matter. I think, the DRS and overtake combo.
And as he does that, Tact gets past Nile. So now he puts yet another car in between himself and Rose.
And now Tac is only 4 seconds off of Sin, who is 2 seconds off of Action. Both leading on the harder compounds. Nobody is on the softs anymore. And I don't think we're going to see them again, barring any safety car shenanigans. Astros at the fastest lap with a 1:18.7 on the medium tires. And I wonder, Sin does look like he's putting in decent time to the action. He's actually 4/10 up in his last lap, even though he's on the hards. Oh, but he has to correct coming out of what was that? Turn 11 there? Turn 12. turn 13, now down into 14, and it does look like Sin is rapidly closing on the action, even with the harder compound tires. Oh, but Sin's got to make sure to temper his ambitions and make sure he does not, his confidence does not exceed his adherence, I believe, is the phrase.
Adhesion.
Right, that one.
Ambition well ahead of adhesion.
Yes. Okay, Brundle. And yeah, look at that gap shrinking. Sin is able to put in time, even though he's really stepping the car out on these turns. On these
Rosefest and Niall going wheel to wheel. Niall actually able to stay ahead. That's just hampering Rosefest all the more down into turn 3. Now Rose is going to send it. He goes to the inside and he spun!
Oh, he spun!
He spun. He goes to the inside. A very optimistic dive.
He almost backs into Blake
Yeah. Yikes. Yeah, that was an optimistic move. That was inevitable from the moment he decided to go late on the brakes. That was always going to happen as Moatzer gets past Zeke in front of him. That Niall had no reason to yield there. I mean he kind of did. Rose is faster and it would have saved him time, but as far as regulations go, he did not need to yield that position. And Rosefest really wanted to get past him, thinking Niall would give up, but he just didn't.
Moser taking a lot of curb on the exits of 6 and 9 and gets stepped out wide, and it just overheats his tires that much more coming into the 8 and 9 of Sector 2. This is a really deadly part of the track. I think we're going to see a couple more spins coming out of turn 12 there. But so far, everyone's kept it in check for one more lap. Astro
Sin with DRS now on the leader. Action, these two, the only ones to have started on that harder compound in the top 3, as Tact has been able to pit. Niall not too far behind him though. Action really struggling with traction, but so is Sin. Sin obviously going to be, I think we went from where the medium tires were faster to the softer, and I think we've crossed threshold where the hards are going to be fast. Wow, I can't speak tonight. Faster than the medium tires. So Sin really close to Action, and I think he's going to have him in this next lap if Action doesn't pit, but I don't know what Action's pit strategy is looking like nowadays. As there's a yellow flag in Sector 2 and 3. Oh, yep, and that's MLG God spinning in that same spot once again. Resets to track.
I would not be surprised if that Haas decided to retire from the race. Oh, and there's the Ferrari off. That's Moser. Completely off in the hairpin turn 5.
Yep, turn 5 picks up a 10-second time penalty. Looks like he went straight on.
Yeah, that's a rough penalty. I hope he disputes it, because that was a bit rough.
So now back on to Sin Black and Action, the leaders with Tact. Less than a second. Could we see a double overtake here as Action is going to stay out? I think Sin's got him here. He's closer than he's been all the time. That dirty air, so harmful in that final corner to your exit, but he's able to keep it together. Action, though, way better out of that corner, of course, because of the dirty air, but Sin really struggling with that. As Action takes the defensive line for little to no reason, that's going to compromise him. That's going to allow Sin to get on the power better, but Sin has that rear tire on the curb, but it's not going to hamper him too much as Action now retains the lead of this race into turn 3.
Action's at 99% energy. Use your energy, man. What is he doing? He's saving it for a rainy day. Well, this is the rain, son. Oh, and Sin's just backed off a lot. He has 3 seconds of penalties. Oh, and the Action picks up 3 seconds of penalties. And Moser's retired. Is that in the pits? That's fine. Oh, and Sin is rapidly close to the gearbox of the Action. This could certainly be something coming down to the start-finish straight. But yeah, the Action does have energy to play with, and Sin is just, you can see him on particularly dangerous corners. He's just taking it so cautiously. He's lifting a lot before turn 4 just to make sure he doesn't pick up another warning, because in the end we have seen time and time again that time penalties do sink, and if specifically Sin's chances of getting onto the podium.
Tact just so much faster out of that final corner though. Now I think he might be able to get both of them as we ride on board with him. No, never mind, but Sin might be able to get Action into turn 1, or he's going to save it for the next one. No, he looks like he wants the inside. He goes late on the brakes. That's going to force Action out wide. He's going to lock up his tires, but Action's going to be able to get a better exit on that outside line. Sin accelerating, but it's not going to be enough to get past him, and Tact not going to be able to get past Sin as we go into turn 3. Action retains the lead of this race, which is not something I thought I'd say last time around, and it's definitely not something I thought I'd say this lap. Impressive job from him defending. He is using that energy to great avail because he still has 90% and he's able to stay in front of people at 50 and 70 respectively.
Now you've got to wonder how much Tack is gonna or how much patience he's gonna exert here, because he does have the opportunity to go for a move, but he has seen specifically to Rosefest what happens when you try to force a move when it isn't going to happen.
Well, and crucially, in duplicate, he doesn't have the pressure from Rose now. He's in a league of his own. This race is his to lose 100%. So just don't do anything stupid. He has no penalties, and he's got at least a 10-second gap back to his closest rival.
It is important to note that this isn't an opportunity for him to just sit back and coast behind these guys, because Sin and the Action are that much slower than him. We know that. But Sin can take his tires to lap 31. He has 16 laps to go before it would make sense for him to pit onto the
So
softs
I think,
to the end.
yeah, I think Sin's going to go for a move here. No, still not close enough as, yeah, Action finally using his overtake. Oh, Sin really late on the brakes, but just able to keep it, but he's going to lose the rear. Is that going to be an opening for Tack? No, it's not. It's also not going to be one for Sin, though. Action retains the lead into turn 3 once again, and you'd have to say out of trouble for the rest of the lap.
Yeah, I think after you get past turn 2, turn 3, you're really not going to have that much issues unless you make a large mistake and present an opportunity for your opponents to overtake. And there isn't that much opportunity. Oh, Sin drops it on the curb in turn 5, and that is him down into P3, still ahead of his teammate Niall, who almost does the same thing, but that's Tack into P2. Now Tack is on 2 seconds back to the Action. The Action is able to recuperate a lot of time there. But I think Tack is going to be able to line up a move a lot quicker than Sin would be able to.
Yeah, you'd have to say he's going to be a little bit less patient with it, too, because he's not worried about his tires.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has just opened the door to Tack knowing that Action is on older tires, even if he doesn't.
And we have a VSC. We have a VSC. That's because Sin dropped it again. He dropped it in the corner where MLG dropped it.
The Action is into the pits.
Yeah, that's perfect for Action. That would have been perfect for Sin, but unfortunately, Sin causing the VSC. He has got no front wing now as we watch him limp back to the pits under VSC conditions. That is played beautifully into the hands of Action, and Niall as well. Niall doesn't pit. What is he? Oh, his pit window is literally open.
Yeah, okay, but Niall's strategy is going to bring these tires
Astro gets a drive-through.
Astro does get a drive-through.
And
Niall's plan... Go on.
Sorry, just saying that Sin finally made it into the pits, about to get his tires changed and a wing change. He's going to come out somewhere 12th or 13th.
Yeah, Niall is probably looking to bring these tires another 10 laps.
Oh my god, sorry.
Switch on to the softs to the end.
Kia, to interrupt you one more time, Rose pitted for fresh mediums. I don't know if those could go to the end.
I'm not sure.
That's optimistic at best.
I will definitely update you in 2 laps what our AWS predictions are.
Yeah, that's a bold move.
Into the sunset, I would say. That's a real blessing for him. The Action on the newer tires, but it's only a 6-lap difference to Tack, and I don't think he's going to be able to recover. That is effectively 25-second gap to a 15-second gap to Tack. I don't think he's going to be able to recover that in race time, because Tack does not need to stop again. Oh dear, dear, oh dear, oh dear. That VSC, yeah, I think some people were a bit jumpy there. That was absolutely the perfect call for the Action, but I'm not sure about Rose.
I agree, yeah. And Action's sitting at 100% energy. But these grills actually very close to Action within DRS. Action now using some of his 100% ERS, though, to be able to stay out of harm's way for this lap, but these on those medium tires probably a bit faster than the hards for another lap or 2, but then the hard should kick in because D's does have pretty worn, and that's going to be Van into the pits for a drive-through. Same with Astro, so both of them receiving a drive-through under the virtual safety car. You know, I didn't receive a drive-through. I decided to hit the brakes in a high-speed corner and spin out and break my wing and take a trip into the pits for new tires instead of a drive-through, so kind of a pro, but you know.
And it looks like, who is that? Is that the RB16? Who's the Red Bull who just pitted?
Sadist. Yeah.
Sadist picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding the pit lane.
Oh, and Zeke and Figsnack's really close coming out of the pits there. Fig on those soft tires is going to want to stay in front, and I think he's inclined to, because Zeke's not going to have anything to fight him back except to go late on the brakes and almost rear-end him, but he's able to keep it under control, get the power back down, and these cars, all 3 of these guys are very close, but they're all on different tires. Fig on fresh soft, Zeke on fresh hards, and Sadist on pretty old mediums. So Fig, though, 100% cannot go to the end. So
Hold on.
I don't...
Sadis just entered the pits.
For a drive-through.
Did he... Ah, right. Okay, that's
Yeah.
why. Did he
Rosefest
pick up a
setting the
5-second
fastest
penalty
lap.
for a drive-through serving then?
Yeah, I think he picked up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane,
That is
attempting to serve his
that's the
drive-through.
equivalent of trying to eat your morning porridge and there's other content in there than water.
I don't know how to respond to that other than to tell you that Rosefest just set the fastest lap of the race and is slowly closing on D's, but of course the race win seems all but out of his hands, as if we check the gap to the leader, he's 26 seconds off tact. Granted, Rose did take another pit stop, but I'm not convinced he can make this to the end.
Yeah,
Even if Tact couldn't, and I think Tact can.
When he comes around the corner next, we can just about see. But assuming he's kept the current rates from his first lap, the AWS tire projections bring him to lap 36, so just at the cusp of it. He will get 60% wear by lap 36.
Interesting. I think he's looking good for third position because Niall and Blaze have to pit, Dees has to pit, but the action will stay out. And so I'm thinking Rose is a pretty solid spot. And you have to wonder, had he not pitted, though, he'd be in a pretty prime position to fight action for P2 by the end of the race.
Yes, he would. And unfortunately, it does look like Sin has just completely bottled his chances at a podium. That's gotta suck for him. I know he's struggled a lot with his own mistakes, kind of cucking his pace, we'll say. Oh, and the action just completely straight lining turn 4. Picks up a warning for that, and I believe that'll be his second of the race. His second of the current stint. But just in front of him, Blaze Alex, 12 seconds penalties. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll give you a minor run through of the penalties, considering there's nothing going on until the action is able to pass Alex on the start-finish. Top 2, nothing. Blaze Alex in P3 has 12 seconds. The action is 3 seconds. Dees has 9 seconds. Behind that, in 9th position, Sin has 3 seconds. Behind him is Astro with 3 seconds as well. And it looks like Blaze Alex is going into the pits. 18 laps on those mediums. Definitely giving confidence to Rose to make it to the end. And that is Dees closing up on the action now. But not recovering enough ground to actually do anything.
I think you'd have to say, too, though, if Rose's tires can go to the end, then Niall should have pitted under VSC, no? MLG God going slow in turn 1, causing another yellow flag.
I think the smarter idea for Niall definitely would have been to pit under VSC and take full advantage of it, but I still don't doubt his strat. Ooh, him and Sin are I know they're playing on medium TC and they're clearly sliding around a lot. They're overheating these tires, overstressing them, and really not taking that much care because they don't think they need to, but in reality they do, proven by the fact that Sin's fun. But yeah, Niall's actually kind of borked his tires now. He's got 2 more laps left in them, 2 more good racing laps before he needs to come in. And I think, yeah, the VSC probably would have been the smarter pit for him because I don't think he can make these softs last. The longest we've seen.
He's going to come into the pits now.
Yeah, and there's no way he is going on to the mediums here.
Yeah, for sure. If he goes onto the softs, that would be a fairly massive blunder. We've got another yellow flag in Sector 2. That's Zeke spun off in the other Merc. While his teammate is leading the race, he is crashed from P12, spun out on the curb of death. Of turn 5, Rosefest getting past Niall. Is Niall exiting the pits on the medium tires? We'll see if Stewie's going to be able to pass him too. No, I think Niall's fairly safe from Stewie.
Yep.
But that puts Rose, as I said, up into third position. Net, as D's Grills, is absolutely going to have to pit. I assume he's waiting to go on to those hard tires. Zeke retires.
Virtual safety car.
Zeke DNF'd somewhere. Let's ride on board with Astro to see if we can figure out where. Jeez.
No, right on board with Tax just saw him. Ooh. Yeah, that'll be the...
And you just hope the driver is alright. So now Niall's got to be kicking himself that he didn't stay out one more lap because he would have gotten another VSC to pit under.
Yeah. Oh.
And look
I'm
at
not
this, he
sure
would have
about
come.
pitting that early anyway.
Well, actually, you
He had
know
a
what?
couple more.
It wouldn't have
Oh,
mattered
VSC's
because
done, yeah.
yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. So tact taken the green flag across the line here to lead lap 22 with an 18-second gap back to Action, who is on 8-lap fresher tires, but not 18 seconds fresher. And Rosefest, I would have to say, is on the wrong compound.
That race pace, if Action is going to win this Grand Prix, has to come from a mistake from Tack, and it's going to be a mistake. The only mistake that Tack could make that would put him that far back would have to be something that warrants a pit stop, and that would put him outside of the podium positions as far as our current reckoning is. And yeah, Dees is no, Dees does not need to pit again. You said earlier that Dees would probably need a pit. I think from what I'm reading right here, he can bring these to the end.
You
just
said,
barely.
but you
And I
said
think
that
that's his
Rose
plan.
could make it to lap 36, but Dees has done an extra 7 laps on those tires over Rose.
Yeah, but I'm looking at his telemetry data right now, and it says his earliest pit, or his pit window opens 60% wear for his current tires at 36. Maybe the VSC interfered with that reading. We're gonna let him go for another lap.
I think that's because I
we'll
can't
check again.
imagine taking those tires 25 laps, the medium tires. That seems bold. But Stewie is done 19 laps on those mediums with higher fuel, so maybe it is possible. We'll see. Rosefest, though, all over the back of him. I don't think it'll matter much. I think he should pit because he's about to get swallowed up by Rose, and then I can't imagine Niall and Stewie are going to be... Well, Niall is going to be that far off on fresh mediums. These grills holding the inside here. That's going to allow Rose to just easily pass him on the straight with a bit of a switchback here. Gets the power down better. Doesn't have to worry about the DRS... or the dirty air, opens up the DRS and is already going to be through and passed by the middle of the straight, let alone the braking zone. Rose up into that final podium position, 3 seconds off Action, who is 18 seconds off Tact. The race lead without a safety car seems out of the possibility for both Rose and Action. However, second place is very much on the cards for Rose. If he can somehow find some pace and nurse these tires to the end, it seems like it'll be pretty tough. As Sin gets past Van, as Van's going to kind of cut the corner here, as Blaze Alex is going to open up DRS down in 8th position, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do anything. He is completely out of energy. Sin back up into 6th position behind his teammate. A good recovery from him. He's not going to be happy with the way this race has played out, but all things considered, I'm sure he'll be happy with a 6th place right now. Yeah, he's going to go... Oh boy. And he turns... Yep, he turns in on Van, and Van is just going to be thrown into the wall. Absolutely inevitable. If Blaze Alex doesn't go fully off the track there, that's always going to happen.
May I address a key issue in racing, in online racing? Not every corner is an overtaking opportunity. If someone messes up, that is generally a good place to overtake. It is generally good to overtake somebody when the opportunity presents itself, but not every opportunity is a good one to take, and that corner you just simply can't go too wide without a minimum level of compliance, and he didn't have the speed to get that done.
I would honestly have to say that's on Van. I think as soon as you see Blaze is half a car length ahead of you and you're on the inside, you're the one that's going to get spun there. I think you need to back out of that. Not to say that Blaze Alex wasn't partially at fault, as I said, as it happened. Realistically, you can't go too wide there without the car on the outside running 4 wheels off track, and he took the racing line there with brute force. I still think that was an avoidable incident from Van's perspective. There was no sense in holding on to that. You were never going to keep that position because...
There is no imperative, there is no obligation for Van to have yielded that.
Not necessarily, but that would lean me more towards a racing incident, especially, though, if you go into Van's mind. I'm leaning more towards if it's a calculated decision from Van.
We could return to the commentary just after I say that it is Alex's obligation to leave a car's width. Van did everything he needed to do to take that corner in a way that did not impede Blaze Alex.
I still think there are corners where you need to back out of something where you can't go too wide, and the car in front does, in general, have priority on those corners. That being said, from Van, though, if you really thought about it, yeah, he's going to go for a move here. Action defending to the inside. Rosefest going to go to the outside. Is he going to be able to make it stick on the brakes? It does look like he goes up. Oh, yeah, Action does outbrake him, but that's because he double locks up and runs super wide. Rosefest going to open up the DRS. Action using as much of his 89% energy as he can, but to no avail. Rosefest going to be up into P2, and so now the game is 8 laps on both their hard and medium sets of tires. can Rosefest keep these to the end? But as I was saying, I do think, if you think about it from Van's perspective, that line that he's taking is going to turn to the outside for turn 5, and you're never going to be able to get around the outside of turn 5.
Here's the... No, I think that Dees should have tempered his... He was not in a position to overtake until they were maybe 200, 300 meters away from the corner. I think it was definitely on... it was on Alex to back out and wait for a better opportunity that doesn't result in a spin.
See, I think once he's in front, though, you can't expect the car that if someone's backing out, it's not the car. Yeah, he was.
They were alongside.
Nah, he was. I know, but he was half a car length ahead going into that corner.
The only reason that Blaze ended up spinning him with contact from rear to front tire is because he took a line that was not the racing line, and it allowed him to carry more speed, but it was never going to be able to make the corner. He only had more speed than Van coming through that corner to get to the position he was, because he ignored that Van was there, and you can't do that when you're overtaking someone.
I still think that...
I want to point out, Rose has slight damage on his front right wing. Not sure exactly where it's from, but it is only 6%, and it doesn't seem to be hampering his pace all that much.
Interesting. Yeah, you know, to me, as soon as Blaze Alex was half a car length ahead, Van should have given up there.
There's really no way for Van to have backed out of that corner at the point where he knew he should have backed out.
I think if you just brake heavily,
it's unreasonable for Blaze Alex to have thought that was a good move to make.
You know, as someone who has made that move that Blaze Alex did stick, I think the way to do it would be for Van to back out. But as you said, there is no obligation for Van to back out of it, but that would lean me more towards a racing incident rather than Blaze Alex's fault.
No, absolutely not. It's not a racing incident if Van did nothing wrong, but Alex did.
That's an interesting point, but I just don't... you know what? I'd have to see the clip. The stream is usually desynced, and of course, we only see one POV, but to me, my initial thoughts would be...
Were you on board with who?
I was on board with Van.
I was off board in a helicopter shot.
Okay, yeah. So then that's... To me, from Van's POV, I thought the move was done for Alex, but he did go later on the brakes and tried to stick it through the inside. Again, we'd have to see the POVs, but you very well might be right that it'd be a penalty to Blaze Alex. It's definitely not a penalty to Van, that's for sure.
And now, Sadist is caught right back up to the rear of Fig on his gearbox. I imagine this is going to be moved. Ooh, no, Sadist is out of energy, and Fig has stored some. So coming down the straight, it'll be it will be a contest between the DRS and the energy. Urs and Durs.
Sadist will pick up some free RS, which might allow him to charge his ERS. And so we'll see. I don't think he shouldn't use any overtake here. I think he should charge for a lap, and if he can stick behind him, then that's the way to do it. It looks like that is what he's going to do. But Medium's still using up quite a bit on this straight. Oh, yeah, you're going to want to make sure you hit your brakes at some point there, Chief. Really missing his braking, but actually maybe Figlin was the one who broke early, because Sadist caught up a lot of ground on him doing that, even though he locked up and ran wide. So Figlin taking a nice tight line through turn 3 and 4. Or sorry, that's all apparently turn 3, and then this is turn 4. I don't get that. Oh, right, because turn 1 is, yeah, that's not turn 2. Never mind. I've been saying turn 3 when it's turn 2. Any hoozles, up turn 5, Sadist locking. Now, remember, Sadist lost it at, what is it, turn 14, Kia?
Turn 14 is the hairpin. Sadist lost it at turn 12.
Okay, turn 12.
Actually, the action is coming through turn 12 right now.
Right, so Sadist has already spun here, and he is really struggling with those rears. Whether it's a setup issue of overheating or just an overdriving issue remains to be seen, but he is...
His temps are actually pretty good. He hasn't peaked past 110 coming through that sector 2 so far. So Sadist, the newer tires, because he's only heating the surface, he hasn't had a chance to really raise the carcass temperature of the tire, which retains the heat a lot more than a surface temp does. So surface temps fluctuate. The carcass temps are a lot harder to get down.
Keep the tire.
So when you raise your carcass temperature, you have a lot of trouble lowering your surface temps, and surface temps are what make you slide.
Do a few laps with the tire data open to get a good feel for it. To get a feel for how to control it. That's what it is. Nailed it. So yeah, Niall coming up on the back of these grills here. I said D should have pitted because he was going to get swallowed up by Niall anyways, and the gap back to Sin was over 20 seconds, so maybe he could have come back at Niall, but he chose to stay out. And You know what? Only 6 laps. It's possible for him to defend. It is so hard to overtake here at Hungary. But Niall, 12 lap fresher tires. It's going to be tough, you'd have to imagine.
Yeah, I think Niall's going to have a significant pace disadvantage, or he's just not going to be able to effectively use his energy. As I say that, Niall's on 10% energy, and Deez is also on 15. Never mind, they're both a bit clumsy with that management. But just looking purely on pace, yeah, it looks like Niall is 0.2 a lap quicker, but that's in free air, not riding someone's gearbox. So who knows how that'll stack up for 6 laps. And for anyone, Stewie, sorry, that's just Blaze Alex going into the pit lane, not any overtakes getting done. For anyone who was wondering why we talked about that incident with Blaze Alex for so long, we just had no gaps to talk about. That was really all it was. There's just nothing else to talk about, and that's sometimes how it is in racing. Like right now, as our 2 closest competitors, Niall and Deez, are going through a sector where you just can't overtake, there's not a lot to say, other than the stuff we've already been over with energy and tire management. Both of them, by the way, just in the tire management front, are managing their temps fairly well. Deez is having significantly higher temperatures coming through load corners than Niall is, but that's obviously to be expected because of the time, age difference, 12 laps, and it looks like Niall is again able to
just out of DRS, but he's at 0. He used all of his energy on the straight.
Yeah, not sure. Ooh, is that a spin from Niall?
Nope.
No, that was a slide. That was a slide.
Yeah, it
and
was just a
catch,
slide.
I think looked a lot worse on the off board.
Yeah,
But,
so Niall able to just keep within just around a second, but not really making any ground on him. So I take back what I said. I think Deez made the right decision now, and he's just got to try to hold him for 5 laps.
Yeah, I think so long as Deez is able to, I was gonna say as long as Deez is able to save and just deploy his energy strategically on the straights, and make sure he doesn't get through on DRS.
Kia, we play reduced damage, so Deez can take these tires for as long as he wants. He's not going to feel any wear after 70%.
Yeah, he's gonna get 70 on the, and that's not even what's important. Niall is gonna get past anyway. Niall has 0 points penalties, and Deez has 9 seconds.
Oh.
What would really be interesting is if Niall was able to get past Deez, who just double locked both left side tires somehow. But if Niall was somehow able to get past Deez, and he caught up another 4 seconds to action, he would have podium position. But that's not happening with 4 laps left, barring major calamity at the front.
Yeah, so Tack driven a pretty flawless race, making the right call on the pit stop, making the right call under both VSCs. Granted, not that he really had a decision.
He had experience driving in a higher tiers. We should promote him to tier 1.
Yeah, you know what? We should promote him to tier 1 if he's going to come in and dominate tier 2 by 18 seconds. Tact. Jesus.
Yeah, turn off line. Actually, we should make Chen-Jay turn off line too.
Yeah, I don't totally understand.
All I'm saying is
he's...
if you choose not to qualify and then you complain about the pole time being low, qualify next time. Just saying.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. That one hurt too, because I had 6/10 that I lost on my last lap when I invalidated, and then
also,
I go
don't come into a race channel after the race and be like, "Why were you 30 kph slower on the straight?" And it's like, "Oh, were you in overtake mode? Yeah. Were you in rich mode? Yeah. Well, there's your answer." Anyway, Niall, within DRS range once again of Deez. I don't see how this lap is going to be any different. Both of them not managing their errs very well. And Niall deploying his overtake. He's not saving anything these laps. Will he get in range? I don't think he will, but he might go for a dive. That is the Niall. He's going for the outside instead. Oh, that's a dive on the outside, and it gets past!
Yeah,
and that's Niall just out-tractioning, just straight drag race to turn 3.
Yeah.
How is he going to go? Because Deez is able to get back on the outside.
Deez goes around the outside. Yeah.
Doesn't spin, but he takes the inside curve, and that's going to severely disrupt his line. Niall gets by. Niall hit to P4.
Yeah, Deez really let him pass there. He took the defensive line, broke early, went all the way on the curb, allowing Niall to take the racing line.
No! Oh my God, Niall almost
Niall's
touched
fine.
the white curve.
Yeah, Niall able to stay out of trouble, and realistically, he should be fine to the end of the race.
Here's the thing: if Niall is a race engineer,
oh my gosh,
should have been telling.
Sin's gonna be back up into P5 because of Deez's penalties.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Which I was just about to say. If Niall had a race engineer, he should have told him that was not worth it because Dees has 9 seconds of penalties, Sin has 3, Niall has 0. So really, status quo would have brought them to the end without risking an overtake. And honestly, that is risk. There's a huge pad in front and behind. It would have been easier to just hold fast and come out effectively with the same race result, but you can't exactly tell a racer don't overtake as Niall runs out of energy and Blaze Alex picks up another penalty.
Oh boy. Yeah, Sadist falling must have spun or something. No, he went into the pits for some reason for soft tires, and
For
that
the
brought
fastest
him
lap.
off the back. Oh yeah, yeah, but he's outside the top 10.
Yep. So
He's really pulling us a heel here.
he is.
So yeah, that'll do it.
Looks like Dees is just barely holding on to that 1 second gap to Niall. He's gonna need to maintain it for the for that DRS. Ooh. And yeah, maybe you know what? Dees is. I think this is the correct strategy for Dees. He can easily make it to the end as he showed on these tires. Pitting again wouldn't really have done anything but risk a speed in the pit lane penalty, which a lot of drivers are prone to. I'm not sure specifically about Dees, but also probably would have put him in traffic that he would have to fight his way through when he could easily just let his penalties carry him out and get P6 anyway, because that is where he's gonna end up. Just who's in 9th position? Yeah, Blaze Alex nearing disqualification. He needs 3 more penalties to be disqualified. He's on 21 seconds of penalties at the moment. And 2 drivers. Let me guess who? Yep, 2 drivers on 0 ERS.
And so as we approach the, or as we're on the penultimate lap here, Kia, who would you say is your top bid for driver of the day?
Whoever the game says. Honestly,
Fair enough.
there are a lot of pretty good stories, a lot of blunders,
mine's easy. It would be Action, who's up 9 positions. Niall also up 12 positions, but
I'm not 100% sure about that because we know that starting down was effectively the better strategy. Action started on the mediums, and I don't know if we could just give a driver of the day just because of a superior tire strategy. Though Action has been fairly consistent throughout, I'd prefer to defer it to the game just so there's no shenanidoodles.
as Tact crosses the line now into turn 1 for the final lap, we'll ride on board with him for a proportion of this lap because I can't imagine Sin's going to go for a move, but you know what? He is pretty close. Is he going to go for it? I would hope not. Well, you know what? I hope he does, as long as it ends well.
The smart money would be to save the ERS on this straight and use it on the mini straight and see how far you can get with the DRS. No, but he is.
Yeah, he's not going to be anywhere near him. So Dees Grills looks safe for the moment with 31% energy. Even if Sin got super close, Dees could just out-drag him with the energy. You'd think, as Dees Grills is going to struggle. Nope, not at all. Dees Grills getting an amazing exit.
And again, this is completely irrelevant considering that Dees
Yep.
has so many penalties.
And so Tact enters into the final 3 turns of the Hungaro Ring for round 7 of the ARC Tier 2 Championship. You might notice him from Tier 1 because he was one of the front runners in Tier 1 who decided it would be fair to go down into Tier 2. Sorry about it.
That's
and
a real
beats,
move.
Yeah, beats, well, at least he can actually win in Tier 2. And Rosefest is going to finish 16 seconds behind him as Tact crosses the line for his maiden victory in Tier 2.
Rosefest is going to finish 19 seconds behind him. Rosefest has 3 seconds penalties, as does the Action.
My mistake. As there we go. We crossed the line at 18.8. Suck it, Kia. 2/10 off, 19 seconds. Nerd. We'll see what Action finishes. And Niall. I think the Alfa Romeo, all things considered, Niall's going to be happy. Up 12 positions, and Sin's got to be happy. With 5th position given his spin. Obviously, he would have been happy had he not spun. He'd probably be in front of Niall. He'd probably be in front of... Yeah. Somewhere. That I don't know what happened, but... Yep, so there is your top 10 finishers, or at least it should be. No, maybe not.
There are stretches that may have been a bit unimpressive in this race, a bit boring, but I do appreciate having a race that isn't marred by a safety car, so they don't play fuddle-duddle with the tire strategy. It really allowed the people on the better tire strategy to win out, such as Rosefest and the Action. or actually just the action, and Nile and Sin. All of them started on the harder compounds and
And
did
Blaze Alex ran out of
fantastic.
fuel, which allowed Fig to overtake him at the line. That's something.
Actually,
So.
you know what? I want to give it to Nile. I want to give Driver of the Day to Nile from P16.
That's
Yeah,
what I
there
said.
you go.
Yeah.
P16 to P4. Absolutely, Driver of the Day to Nile. I completely missed the fact that he started P16, and by turn like 5 on the first lap, he was into
He's up
P10.
6 positions. Yeah.
It was he is just like Stroll last year, where like maybe his
Oh
qualifying
my
could use a bit of
God.
work, but his lap ones were something to behold.
Yeah,
Now
and so are those
I did make a
eyebrows.
mental note. I did make a mental note that we do have to ask Rose Feet about his
Yeah.
qualifying because that's interesting. Let me get the race screenshot results.
All
If
right.
you
So
could
as
run
we
through
head
the
over.
incidents.
Oh, whoopsies. Yeah, let me do that really quickly. A lot of drive-throughs. An upsetting amount of drive-throughs. All right, there we have it. As we head over to the ARC casting couch, I will bring in Rosefest, our runner-up, first. Rosefest, welcome to the commentary channel.
Hello.
Now, we have to ask, and I think you know what this is going to be about.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
You're qualifying. Could you
Yeah.
explain the thought process of braking on a soft lap to set a 3/10 quicker lap time than your
Yeah.
mediums that
Yeah.
would have gotten you onto P5 anyway?
Yeah, so I was trying to entertain people watching, make the
Mm-hmm.
race more interesting.
Yeah.
But honest answer, I thought the line was farther and I had time to abort my lap, which I should have done before last turn in hindsight. But first big mistake of the weekend.
What would you say your second big mistake of the weekend was?
Spinning.
Mm.
That's and penalty. I don't know which one's biggest, but I did all the mistakes this weekend.
Well,
Well,
your penalty didn't end up affecting your race result, but yeah, can you talk us through your spin? I believe it was with
Nile.
Nile in turn 2.
Yeah, I think it was turn 2. I went for a gap that I don't think I should have gone for that gap. It was closing too fast, and I was a little bit behind. But it was too late when I realized it. Just touched like the slightest touch and had a little spin.
Would you say your actually, Gore, can you say the line because I don't remember it? Adhesion. Yeah, it does. Your ambition to get through that gap was just a bit higher than your adhesion to not spin.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Cool. Well, that was fun anyways. So thank you guys.
How does it feel dunking on little kids in a different tier?
Whoa. Whoa. Wait.
Congratulations on the race win. What would you say your most important factor was? Obviously, you decided to go with the softs in qualifying. Did you ever think about just sticking with the mediums and seeing how that would treat you?
Yeah, my original strategy was medium hard, but after I saw, where I was compared to all the people who did softs, I really didn't want to get stuck in traffic, so I decided to just put it on pole, hopefully in the softs, and yeah, achieved that. Yeah. Uh, Yeah, I was wondering what happened with him. Obviously, we had a car between us after the pit stops, but then I think him and Niall were battling, and I don't know if there's an incident there or not, but yeah, it sucks for Rose. Really hoping we would battle today, but fortunately not. Hopefully next week. Yeah, thanks guys.
No problem.
My mic has been muted that entire time. That is incredibly upsetting. I had some good zingers, but you know what? Whatever. Thank you, everybody, for watching Tier 2 ARC Round 7 in the Hungara Ring. Rosefest leaves, extending his championship lead to the nearest contender, who is Sin, who did not have the best race this weekend. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow